Hello, Sophie Blackall here. I'm the author and illustrator of Hello Lighthouse, and I also illustrate the Ivy and Bean books. And I'm talking to you from where we are quarantining in our little house in upstate New York. It looks a little bit like this, but you know, in color. And I don't know about you, but there are some things I'm starting to miss after 2 weeks of quarantine. I miss seeing my friends quite a lot. And I miss going to the library and getting fresh new books. But one of the good things about being at home is it gives you an excuse to read old books. And opening an old book is a little bit like revisiting an old friend. So I thought I would tell you about some of my favorite old books that I've been rereading. Some of them are just everybody's favorite books, like The Wind in the Willows is one of my very favorite books. Charlotte's Web is one of everybody's favorite books. Anne of Green Gables, you can't go wrong. The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, I read all of those when I was a kid. Mary Poppins, I loved Mary Poppins even though she was very cross, you know, she was a little bit crisp, but I still really loved her. A Wrinkle in Time, I still dream about those fuzzy grey ant beasts at the end with their soft tentacle fingers and how they smelled so good, and the terrible it, and the eating the dinner that tastes like sand. All those things are deeply stuck in my memory. The Railway Children was a favorite book, and I wanted to wear red petticoats like the girls did in this book so that I would be able to rip one apart and make a flag in an instant to stop a runaway train, because that would be very satisfying. By the same author, this is by E. Nesbit. I never knew her name when I was a child, I always just thought her name was E, but it's Edith. I think it's, yes, it's Edith. Five Children and It, also by E. Nesbit, is a fantastic book. Five children find a sand fairy in a quarry who begrudgingly, he's a bit grumpy, but he gives them wishes, one a day. But the thing is, all the wishes go wrong in the most fantastic way possible, and they're such good stories. Another magic book is this one, Half Magic. Do you know this book? It's really good. It's similar. Children get wishes every day. I think it's a magic coin in this one, but they only get half their wishes, so they have to be very careful about what they wish for, because things go wrong in all sorts of very funny ways. Oh, this book is called Hugo and Josephine, and it's by Maria Grip, and it's a Swedish book, and I think it's out of print now, but this was one of my favorite books when I was a kid. I must have read it 100 times, and it's about Hugo and Josephine. And Josephine is the kind of kid who wants very much to fit in but doesn't quite, and Hugo's the kind of kid who fitting in just doesn't even come into it. He is just himself, and in the most fantastic way possible, where all the other kids wear exactly the same kind of coat to school. He wears a cape, and he carries a pocket knife and can whittle things out of sticks, and he knows the woods better than he knows books, and he's just a fantastic character, and together they make a wonderful pair, and I loved those books. This one, Ballet Shoes, by Noel Streatfeild, who I always thought was a man, but it's a woman called Noel. This book about the three orphans, I had a much older copy which had really fantastic drawings. This one doesn't have any drawings in it. But the three girls, Pauline, Petrova and Posy, are these orphans, and they go to ballet school, and which I was not into ballet at all, but I loved this book. And in the end, I learned all sorts of things like what organza was and grease paint, and in the end, Pauline becomes a film star and Posy becomes a fantastic ballet dancer because it's been in her blood since the beginning, but Petrova becomes a mechanic, and that is just great. And then my brother and I read every single one of the famous 5 books over and over and over. I don't know where our original copies are now, but they were full of sand and dirt and from being read up trees and in the garden, and we used to just imagine that our lives might be like the famous five, that we might be able to go to an island, that we might be able to make beds filled with heather, whatever heather was. In Australia we had no idea, but that's what they used to fill a pillowcase or a sack with heather, and then they'd make this deliciously comfortable bed that they would sleep on the moors, whatever moors were. And then they would always find a farm nearby to go and get some fresh cream and butter and ham and bread and all these good things, and they always had useful things in their pockets when they got stuck or kidnapped or something, and the useful things were like a length of string and a nub of a pencil and always a little piece of chocolate. So we pretty much modeled ourselves on these kids, and my brother and I kept all of those things in our pockets as well, just in case we ever encountered some smugglers and needed to send a message with the pencil nub, or, you know, tie some string around a tree, or just eat the chocolate. Anyway, I hope you are reading lots of good books wherever you are and finding some old friends between the pages. See you soon. Bye.